I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
This speech was given by Dr. Martin Luther King in Washington, D.C., in front of the Washington Monument with Abraham Lincoln's statue there, and it was given on August 28, 1963. Here's some pieces of it. Here's the beginning. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon of light, of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice, burnt by injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. So we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was the promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check which has come back marked insufficient funds. Now this is 1963. Let me show you what's going on in 1963. Dr. King put it here, right here. Here's the King. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. So everyone that thinks that the I Have a Dream speech was a past speech or that it was said to the people at that particular time, no, it wasn't. This speech is for you now. Dr. King was speaking to the future, not his present. He said 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Now look at the prophecy. And those who hoped that the Negro needed to blow off some steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. First prophecy. Dr. King, see, Dr. King, people say he's nonviolent. No, he wasn't. He was smart. Dr. King said right here in the I Have a Dream speech, if you think we're just trying to blow off some steam and we're going to be content with this, you're going to have a rude awakening. Ain't nothing nonviolent about that statement at all. He said we will have a rude awakening. And what happened? Actually, 2 years later, 1965, was the Watts riots. Tore the country into pieces. When Dr. King was killed in 68, 100 cities was on fire. You see, that was the prophecy. If you think we're going to go back, we're going to tear this country down. Here's the next prophecy. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is guaranteed his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. Nothing nonviolent about that. Nothing. Dr. King is picking up arms right here. Let me read it to you again. He said, there will be neither rest nor tranquility, okay, in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt, the very word revolt is violent. Revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. This is protest movements Dr. King is discussing. He warned America. He said, if we don't get what we need, which is basic civil rights, there's going to be no rest here in this country. Revolt is going to be every day in this country. That's what he said. Forget what we believe, heard on TV. This is what was said. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. Now imagine, look at these words. These words are so powerful. This is the formula for creative revolution. He's pointing it out, every line right here. This is what you got to do. This is where you got to be. This is what you got to think. He's pointing it out each time. And let's read further. We must not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. This was the crown achievement of his movement, meeting physical force with soul force. Some people, like Malcolm X, felt that was crazy. I mean, imagine the evil that we're dealing with. Imagine Klansmen go into a church. This is the house of God. Church. Whether you believe God or don't believe in God, the meaning for this building is to come in and pray to something. While people were praying, they left, and 4 girls were left inside. They blew the building off the block. So much explosive. They said it was military explosive that blew that place into bits. Dr. King came out and said, no, we still must practice nonviolence. The whole black community shunned him. Dr. King said, no, we're not taking up arms. We're going to defeat them intellectually. This is the brilliance of this man right here. Here's a man of no violence, walking up in front of the devil with guns and sticks and knives and getting hit in the head with brick. And he was stabbed too. I'm just not discussing that part. But Dr. King was stabbed, hit in the head with a brick. He still said, no, put your guns down. We're going to do this non-violently. And he took the beating. He took the stabbings. He took the disrespect from his own people. And then in the end, they killed him. Now, if this man cannot be honored, I don't know who else can be. You want to talk revolution? You want to talk leadership? Well, let's talk. The very people dissing you are the very people you're going to have to say. It's easy to help those that like you. What about those that don't like you, don't care for you, diss you every 5 minutes? Do you have the discipline to stay on point? Well, that's why we're honoring Dr. King, because this is the character that our children should know about. So now let's continue the speech. Why did I stop there? Because we must meet physical force with soul force. You have to locate your soul, and you have to empower your soul. Not your flesh, not your reputation, not your skill, not your talent, your soul. What is your soul? It's that other you that knows when you ain't on the right path. It's that other you that can hear things that these ears don't hear. It's the you that writes your music and your books. It's the you that has visions and ideas and dreams. That's your soul. What we don't have is unity. We don't have at least 10 people that believe in the king's dream. Those that believe in the king's dream, they're doing well by themselves. No one is linking up and joining with one another and saying, you know what, I believe in this dream. I believe that I'm a little more than a color. I believe that I'm a little more than a race, a little more than a class of people. I think I can build civilizations like my ancestors did. If I come from Imhotep, then why am I not building the new building, the new pyramid, carving out the new river? That's how we gotta think. Thanks for listening to me today. Thank you.